Hello guys, today's video is going to be on square bills. I'm going to do kind of how to pick some out, how to choose the right square bill for you, different types of square bills to consider, and I'm also going to throw in a few modifications that I make to all of my crankbaits really, but just I'll show some square bill stuff that I do. So first we'll start with the basic types of, we'll start with what makes a square bill a square bill. So first is the square bill, that's where it gets its name. With these sharp edges on the bill, it causes, whenever it deflects off of rock or brush, limbs, stuff like that, it's a very erratic deflection. It's not, it's very wild, it's very unpredictable, and that itself can draw strikes. Square bills are great. I fish a square bill all the time. I've always got one rigged up and on the deck always. Even if I'm going to a pond somewhere with a friend or something like that, or don't have a lot of time to get the boat out, I've always got a square bill, always do. Something that I have a specific rod for, and I highly recommend getting a specific square bill rod because that's just how effective they are. I've had them pull big for me when I won a small local tournament on a square bill. This exact, well, not this exact one, but same color and same everything. But so if you've seen the jig videos, you'll know I try to keep those simple. My square bills are the same way. There's different types of there's two different types of square bills when it comes, or there's silent and there's rattling. There's different kinds of rattles too. If you take this one, this is the Riot Baits Reactor 1.5, which is the size. It has a very subtle, and it's got a deeper knock in it. I really like that. It's subtle, but it still gives a little bit of a thud. Versus this one, which is a Strike Right. This is a powder blue chartreuse. These have a lot of BBs in them. They're louder, as you can hear, higher pitched. And then this one is a Strike King. It's similar to the Reactor, but a little deeper pitched. And then you have silent, and of course all silents are silent. There's no difference. This is a little cheap Bass Pro one. Really like the color of it, but as you can hear, completely silent. There will be some rattle due to the terminal on it. Your split rings, they will give some rattle, but it's not really much. So for me, color wise, I keep it super simple. Like I do my jigs, I keep a natural kind of green-ish color to mimic my bluegill. So like this is a Storm Hirashi. It's a very high-pitched one too. This has what you call a computer chip board bill. These are pretty nice. They don't last very long. I tend to go through these pretty quick. Bills don't necessarily break off, which is common. These more just crack, and then after that they're no good. All of them are like that. Once the bill breaks on a crankbait, they're no good anymore. But I try, this is kind of a translucent, you can see the BBs kind of rolling around in there. And it's just a nice green color. Kind of looks like your brim or just some kind of panfish. This is a specific bluegill imitation. Again, this is that KVD tournament series, which with the rattles. I always keep a regular shad color. Try and get it out of the light. This isn't reflective at all. It's not translucent or transparent. It's completely solid in color. A craw, any type of craw color, whether it's orange, yellow, chartreuse. I'll get into some of those when I get into my 2.5s, which is the larger size. I like to have a chartreuse shad. So it's very similar, just chartreuse. And then a chartreuse blackback. It is a blackback, just this light is so bright. And then that powder blue chartreuse I showed you a minute ago. And it's the same way. Here's another couple natural ones I kind of keep. This is a brim, and then another bluegill. This one's got some transparency to it. I showed you this one a minute ago, but I'll show you because it has a little chrome, little flash in it. You can kind of see that, block the light a little bit. Kind of see that reflection on the back. That's it color-wise. That's all I keep. I don't really change it up much. I've pretty much got all my bases covered. I will show you these real quick though. Kind of different crawl colors. This is the 2.5, so you can see the size difference between the 2.5 and the 1.5. There is a noticeable difference in size. These are much bigger. This is an orange crawl. You've got chartreuse crawl, or yeah, this is a little bit of chartreuse. It's kind of the chartreuse brown. And then here's just a regular all brown with a slight orange belly. All crawl to me. I just, my craws kind of say the same. The Delta crawl is different than the Rayburn. This is a really deep red, super deep red, with a lot of red flake. This has none. You can tell this one's caught some fish. But my 2.5 is the same way, same exact colors. I've got my shads, non-chartreuse, my bluegills, and I keep them all in the same, silent and rattling. Here's another crawl. It's a chartreuse blackback, so I actually keep it with my chartreuse and black anyways, even though it is a crawl. Now, when I'm fishing these, I will upload a video on the water fishing these, because I'm doing videos right now in the dorm room, going over some of the basics, things you need to know when you're looking for them, things like that. But I'll actually get into how to fish them on the water, actually fishing them, so I can show you how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, things like that. Because I would rather show you like that. I feel like it's a lot easier to pick up over me just trying to tell you how I do it. But it's super simple. It's nothing complicated. Anyone can catch fish on a square bill. It's a super confidence bait for me, one of my main ones. Picking out a square bill, change your rattles up. First get rattling and get some silence. You can go as crazy as you want color wise on these. You don't have to stay as simple as I am. And some people may say that, and a lot of people are simpler color wise than even I am, but change your rattles up. That's a big tip for me. Just comparing, I have these same colors, chartreuse blackback, strike right, riot, totally different sound. Super loud, high pitched, subtle, deeper thud. It's important. There's a time and a place for that. If the water is super muddy, I'm definitely going to be picking up any of the chartreuses. But if it's just chocolate milk mud, they're having a hard time finding it. There's a lot going on, and they're just having a hard time finding stuff. Grab the loud one. Find something that's higher pitched, loud. If they're aggressive, sometimes that loud high pitch will do it, because it's more aggressive sounding. And whenever they're aggressive, they're feeding aggressive, they're attacking. It's annoying to them, basically. You're getting that reaction out of them. And sometimes that high pitched, loud, super fast just annoys them so much they try to kill it, is more what you're doing in a reaction strike. They're not necessarily eating it because they're hungry, they're eating it out of reaction. It's a drive, it's an instinct. So there's a time and a place for that, just the same as there is a time and a place for a silent bait as well. Clear water, even in stained water, if you're pulling up to your spots and it's, say, in a tournament, and there's it seems like everyone's got one on their deck. You even see some guys throwing them and they're all rattling. throw this. Even in stained water, the silence, because it's different. If you know, a lot of the guys on your local body of water are throwing all rattling ones, because there's guys that will not touch a silent one because they have so much luck on a rattling one, as a lot of people do. I don't tie these on as much, but whenever I'm tying these on, there's a specific reason. They're super important to have. They're definitely, if you don't have silent ones, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to have some silent crankbaits or square bills. They will help you. But there's a time and a place for all of them. There's stained water. I really like the reactor. I really like the deep thud. I haven't heard a lot that are like these, because it's got a one knocker in there. You can feel it and hear it. It's got a thud, but at the same time, you can kind of hear the high pitched quickness. It's a good in between of that and the deep. It's a good in between, and but yet it remains subtle, but it still has that little high pitched sound, but it's super subtle. And I think that's why it's so successful, even more so than others. I fished a lot of square bills. I have tons of square bills. I really like the reactor. That's why it's new, and they just came out with them a couple months ago. Well, longer than that. Hasn't been quite a year. They're still relatively new. I have all the ones that fit me. There's a couple more colors they just released not too long ago. I'm going to be getting here pretty quick. But they don't have all of them, so I still have others, and that is important, to have those other ones. Oh, this is a different one. This is a shallow. You can see the bill is at a 45 compared to these. This one only goes, I got it wrote, maximum of 3 foot. Compared to these are going to be running 5, 6. There's some that'll even run like 7. But that's it on that. Now we'll get into some of the modifications that I do, and some also tips on the terminal side. First, we'll do the tips. You can see this has a round bend hook, and these have a EWG style hook. Now, there's a time and a place for both, just as there's a time and a place for color. Rattling versus silent, 1.5 versus 2.5. There's a time and a place for everything. So I like to have both. I keep both on me, because there's times where in a tournament I will switch, or even just out fishing, I'll switch from a round bend to an EWG. And it's, if you are fishing and say you have a round bend, okay, and they're eating it really well, they're getting the bait, they're getting it, but you're losing them some, throw the EWG on. It's going to keep the fish pinned better because of the kind of locks, how it locks them in really well, because the hook point is tipped in. They don't get off near as easy. But same thing, if you're fishing one with EWGs and you're not getting them. They're hitting it hard, but they're just not getting the hooks. They're short striking it, throw the round bends on. The hook points not being tipped in, like the EWG, it will help you. It will get them over these. So there's times where you just have to sit down, grab your split ring pliers, change them out real quick, and you're good to go. It doesn't even take a minute, especially if you do it a lot. Another tip for them: oval line ties. Ditch the round ones. Go with an oval line tie. They are so much better. They're so much less of a worry. Because if you tie on a round and you get it right there in that split, right there, they have a tendency to work themselves in, and next thing you know, they're coming off. That also pinches your line, and it can weaken it. Also, if you tie here on the big part of it and it ends up sliding, you have it's loose there. You set the hook hard for some reason, that slack sometimes can cause a break. line's funny like that, or knots can be. If your knot isn't exactly perfect and there's just that little bit of play in the knot because it slipped around, and that sudden jerk on the hook set, it'll break it sometimes. It happens. So whenever you're fishing with a oval like this one, there's no worry of that. There's no chance of it moving around because of just the way you're pulling on it. It doesn't move around. It doesn't have a chance. The oval, just the nature of the oval, this part always stays on the line tie of the bait, and your line always stays here. It doesn't really get a chance to move. I've never had it happen. I've never really heard of it happening. So switch to an oval. They're inexpensive. You can go to Bass Pro. You can buy them in a size 3 for like under $4 to get like 20. Go there, buy several, buy like 5, 6 of them. That way you've got plenty of them. Get you a good set of split ring pliers. I really like these. These are Quero. I got these on Tackle Warehouse like several years ago. They've been great. Don't get the ones at Walmart. I bought some Berkeley ones at Walmart one time, and they're okay if I'm using like this really big split ring, which I seldom use because it's way too big for most things. It's a number 2. That's the only one it'll fit in. They're just so bulky, they won't fit in these number 4s. It's much smaller, and I don't even think they'll fit on these ovals, which are number 3s. They're a tight fit in these number 2s, so I don't think they'll fit the number 3. But they are a pain. I don't really use them for anything anymore because they just don't work for what I bought them for. As far as hooks, get you some EWGs to throw on there if you want. They will help you. There's something you want to get. These are Fletcher Shyrocks. Yes, these are Eagle Claw laser sharps. You can buy them at Walmart. These are a deal. They're, like I said, they're under Fletcher Shryock's name. Eagle Claw laser sharp. These are dirt cheap. You get what, 20? I think there are 20. No, 15. These are size 4. You can get 15 of them. I think they're a 2X. Yeah, they're a 2X. These are super sharp out of the package, and you can get 15 for like $4. That is super cheap for trebles. And like I said, these are super sticky sharp right out of the package. They are just, these ain't going nowhere. If I wanted to dig any harder, it might go through my nail. They are that sharp. Just as sharp as the Gamakatsus I buy. They are definitely a really good find. On the other hand, I went and bought some Eagle Claw laser sharp, same thing, 2X round bends. They were not the deal. I bought those EWGs. They were awesome. So I was like, man, I'm gonna buy these because I had such good luck with the EWGs. Not the case. These were really, really dull. I bought 2 packs. One was good. It needed sharpened, which I sharpen all my hooks anyways that need it. But they were okay to sharpen. They weren't too bad. But there was one pack that were super dull, and they took a lot. So yeah, I ended up sharpening, I think I counted, because I had 40 hooks and then a 3. It was rough. It was a long time sharpening them, and it was not fun. Treble hooks are not fun to sharpen. I seldom sharpen them unless they're like a big heavy duty hook. If you've ever thrown a whopper popper, they come with a really like special hook. Seems like I don't want to buy hooks to replace them, so I'll just sharpen them. And they're big, they're easy to sharpen, they're worth it, and they're good hooks out of the package. I don't have any problems with them. I don't think I've ever had to sharpen them. But yeah, I don't recommend the Eagle Claw laser sharp round bends from Walmart or anywhere. I don't recommend them. They are not. Maybe I just got, like I said, the one pack wasn't that bad at all. They were totally good. I just sharpened them because they needed to be some. They needed to be a little bit sharper, but that one pack was dull as dull get. I mean, it was rough. I suggest the Gamakatsus. Those are sticky sharp. I mean, I couldn't even get the Eagle Claw laser sharps as sharp as the Gamakatsus. They're sharp enough for me to use and have confidence in, but it took some work. Now, you also have to outweigh that they were also $4 for 20 versus like $19 for 25 of the Gamakatsu. So there's a difference there. You know, if you have a hook sharpener or you don't, it's a good investment. They're like $5 at Bass Pro, or you can probably find them on Tackle Warehouse for the same. It's something you'll use for the rest of your life when it comes to fishing. They're totally worth it. But if you want to sit down, take the time, sharpen some hooks, it is kind of relaxing if you don't have a ton to do like I did. I started getting, it got old. I think I was sharpening hooks for like 2 hours. Like I said, they took a while. But you can kind of make that decision. You know, do you want to save some money, put in a little extra work? There's nothing wrong with that. I might do it again if I need to. But when it comes to hooks, there's another one. This is the short shank. This is like a 2. No, yeah, 2. The short shank versus a regular shank. I don't have a 2, I don't think. Yeah, I do. Here is a 2 on a regular shank. You can kind of see the difference. If you have a bait with these where you connect them are super close on some are just kind of they're not a bad design, but they're not ideal for me anyways because they'll foul up constantly. Sometimes you can throw a smaller split ring on there, like a size 4, like I've got some, and throw a short shank on there. If you don't, like a 5 or a 4, get a short shank, and sometimes you can get it worked out where they won't foul. Short shanks are good if you need them. If you can keep a regular shank, they're better to have because your hookup is a little bit better because of just, well, I mean, just look at it. They don't hang down really well, and there's not a lot of room between the hook point and the bait to really get hooked up compared. I mean, there's a good 1/4 inch difference, and that is honestly pretty substantial in my opinion. But they are lifesavers on some baits. Some baits are great. It's just that one little flaw that you wish they didn't have. Sometimes that makes fixes a bait for you and makes it to where you can fish it efficiently. That's, say that fast, but that's pretty much it. I do change my split rings. I use the Owner hyper wires. They are super strong. The size 2 hold like 50 pounds before straightening out. Then the 4s that I have will do 37. I'm gonna buy some 3s and start using those because the 2s are way too big. The 4s are on the verge of being too small. So I'm gonna get a 3. See how that works out for me. The oval, I prefer a 3. I think the 3 works out the best. It's really good size. I bought these ovals at Bass Pro. They're really nice. They've got a good poundage. I don't remember what they were off the top of my head, but they were pretty good. About the same price as the Owners. So if you're making a Tackle Warehouse order, you might as well buy the Owners. If you're buying the split rings anyways, instead of making 2 separate orders. But I think they were the same price, maybe $1 difference, but you're talking about $3 versus $4. It's not a huge deal, but you know, if you are budget minded, then you know you can keep that into consideration. One of the main reasons I change my split rings is not necessarily straightening them out, because even a standard split ring, if it's decent at all, which most baits anymore do come with pretty okay hardware. They're pretty decent. Some come with really bad hardware. The rides don't. The rides actually come with super good hardware. I do change split rings just because I am paranoid when it comes to split rings, because I almost lost a 4-pounder because of them on a popper. If I knew how to put the picture in here, I would. But when I caught it, and I got it, I caught it at a pond actually. Got it up to the bank and got it unhooked. I noticed that the front treble was kind of stiff. And I looked at it, and it had maybe an 1/8 left to go before that hook came off, and that was the hook that had him. The back treble didn't really have him at all. So yeah, probably 2 more seconds in the water, probably would have lost him, and he would have been stuck with a hook in his mouth for who knows how long, which isn't something you want to do. So the cheaper split rings or decent split rings, they're just not as strong. So it's not really the straightening out I'm worried about, it's the separation. Of course, can these do it? Of course, you know, things happen, but there's less of a chance with the upgraded ones, whether they're owners, mustads, whatever, doesn't really matter. As long as they're a quality split ring that you can trust, then go for it. It is definitely worth it. Hooks, I normally change the hooks out. When they get dull, I just change them out. I don't bother sharpening trebles unless they're kind of a special treble that I just don't have on hand and they're okay. I'll sharpen them. But for the most part, they get dull or they get a little rust on them. I just pitch them there. It's not really worth it. For as cheap as they are, at the rate you change them, they're not that big a deal. Some baits like the Bass Pro crankbaits I've bought before, they don't really come with that good of hardware. They need to be changed. I've noticed Strike King has gotten considerably better with their hardware. As soon as I get my size 3 split rings, I will change them. But these are the stock hooks, and they're pretty good. They're not bad. I don't know what Strike King's putting on them, but they're really good. After a while, will they need sharpened? I might hit them. Kind of hone them back up a little bit. Overall, they're pretty good. The Riots, they come ready to go out of the package. Strike Kings, they're pretty good. If you want to upgrade them, it's definitely justifiable. I have in the past. The Riots I don't worry about. I just let them go. Except the split rings. I do worry about split rings. That's my only thing. But hook wise, I keep them. I don't change the hooks out on those because I really like them. Only time I do change them out is if that's the one getting bit. I need that crankbait and I need a round bend because they're short striking it. That's the only time I change them. But oftentimes I will put the EWG back on because I kind of prefer the EWG. I don't really have problems, at least in my experience fishing them, which I fish them a lot. I've caught tons of fish on a square bill, probably more. I've probably caught more fish on a square bill than probably about anything. I don't really have problems with them short striking them. They seem to always eat them really well for me, at least where I fish them. I will say I fish them in brush piles. That's one of the main places I fish them. And like I said in some previous videos, brush piles are kind of my thing. That's where I spend a lot of time. I feel I can be anywhere in the country and feel comfortable fishing a lay down. Honestly, they seldom get hung up for me. These Riots, the reactors, they run so well through brush. It is incredible. I have fished places and I've had several rods on the deck with jigs, like flipping jigs, Texas rigs, some worms that are Texas rigged, regular beavers Texas rigged, swim jigs, spinner baits, and shoot, I've gotten those hung up before I've ever even gotten the square bill hung up. I sat on one spot in a river and probably pulled 25 fish out of one spot, and the only thing that did not ever get snagged or hung up at all was square bill. And it was, I think this one, this exact one, because I haven't had to replace this one yet. I think it was this one, I'm pretty sure. Pulled in several fish with it. You can see, well, you probably won't see on the camera, but it's been eaten a lot. But no, these are really good. I highly recommend the Riots. If you're gonna just pick one square bill, I do suggest a Riot. Not just because I'm sponsored by them. That's not just the reason. The reason being is because they're a good in between. You kind of have a little high pitch rattle, but you still have the one knocker, the deeper thud in there. It's subtle. It still gets attention, but it's still subtle. If you want to buy a few, get started. If you've never really thrown them before, you don't have any, I highly recommend the Riot first. Get a couple of these in your shad. Get them. There's a new color I don't have yet, unfortunately, but it is can't remember the name, but it's very similar to this color here, but it's not translucent. I just don't remember the name. I recommend getting that color, your shad color for shad, that one for a bluegill or something like that, brim, and then it's kind of a toss-up between the chartreuse and blue and the chartreuse and black. I kind of prefer the blue. That's kind of personal opinion. Does it really matter that much? Probably not. But you know, that's what I would recommend. Or a craw, they've got the Cybold Red. I really like that color, but they're out of stock. But as of now, these are out of stock, but I think you can still get both the Chartreuse Black and Blueback in that other natural looking color. Kind of it's not a bluegill color, it's more like a brim color, or like a Tennessee shad almost, if you know what that is. Kind of like a greenback shad. That one's in stock. I'll be ordering that on my next one. I recommend going with that one first because it's a good in-between. It's worked for me for a while now. I have fished them very hard for a while. And then I would branch out to a silent. Then I would go into your other rattles, like your deeper thud, like the KVD tournament series. If you just get the regular KVD ones, they are silent. You got to get the tournament series. They are the ones with that deeper knock, and which I do like. I do like a deeper knock, but I do like the versatility of this one because it's the best of both worlds. Are there times when the deep knock outshines? Yeah, there are. And are there times whenever the higher pitch rattle of these outshine? Yes. Like I said earlier, you're not fishing square bills if you're not allowing yourself to have these different options. They're not redundant options. They're really not. Once you get into fishing these things and you're fishing for a while, you will find there is a time for a knock, there's a time for something subtle, there's a time for something loud and high pitched, and there's definitely a time for something silent. There's some guys that won't throw anything but silent, and there's several guys that won't throw anything but a rattling one. So this video's gotten kind of long. Square bills are not complicated. You keep them simple, rattling, silent. Once you get past that, get something with a deeper knock, get something a little loud. Start off with the riots, in my opinion, because they're a good in-between. For me, that in-between is kind of it's a do-all. It just seems like it works all the time. And then from there, you can kind of make that decision whether to go one way or another if they're really eating them well. If you think switching to a more aggressive, higher, louder, or the deeper knock, you can kind of decide. You'll get an idea. You'll definitely get an idea what adjustment you might want to make. If you feel like, you know, if I tied this on this different one, it might do better. But I definitely recommend the Riot Reactor 1.5. It is awesome. It is my favorite square bill. I think, well, I know in that one tournament, I think it was this color. No, it wasn't. It was right after a rain, so it would have been this one, the chartreuse one. I think. I'm pretty sure. But if you guys have any questions, I have a Facebook page. It's just Samuel Schonhart Fishing, same title as the YouTube channel or name. Go to it, give it a like. You can get a hold of me on there. I think you can message the page. You can also find my email there. If you have any questions, any comments, you can go to there if you want. I will do my best to answer things. I truly want to help you guys who are just starting out, beginners, stuff like that. I know this was kind of a long video, kind of rambled a little bit, but I just kind of wanted to stress that don't cut yourself short with square bills. Keep them simple, but there are options that are, in my opinion, necessary. So again, I'll leave, like always, I'll have discount and link in the description. Leave future video ideas in the comments. Like, subscribe, really helps the channel out, helps me out, helps the channel, gets it out there, gets this to other people who need it. Some channels kind of skip over the little things. There's some other channels. Debo's Fishing is really good. Tactical Bassin is one of the best, in my opinion, when it comes to in-depth. If you want some really in-depth stuff, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get some videos like that here soon. Once I am out of the dorm, I'm on the water, I've got the boat out. I will get into some in-depth, some advanced stuff, some basic stuff, beginner stuff. I want to create content for everyone. So check those guys out. Check Debo's. Check out Tactical Bassin. They are awesome channels to watch if you want to learn some stuff. So again, like, subscribe, helps the channel out. Thank you guys for watching. God bless.